Okay, so for this next one, let's try to go into it with a little bit more of an idea and a concept. So I'm thinking like this bigger kind of ogre or barbarian, real wide, real kind of hulking brute holding an axe. Okay, so just, we'll let the rest of it be imaginative and, develop it as we go. So again, we can kind of define a little bit of a height. You could put like a line across here, straight line down. Just draw. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so there's the height of our character. Let's go ahead and tighten up on this a bit. So again, I'll start with the head, but you can really start wherever you want. But this helps me to gauge the overall height. I'm going to give him a smaller head because I want to give him this bigger body. I also want to try to angle the character. So if I don't do any edges on the side of the head, I kind of perceive that this character is looking forward. And then as I work out, I'll get the torso in place, and I'm going to go ahead and angle this. So I'll kind of sketch this in place. And I think after you become more confident, you don't even need to sketch as much like I'm doing here. But I want to make this better and more understandable for beginners. So there's our torso, and we can definitely add some mass onto this character as we go. And then we'll do a wide stance, but we'll have one leg come down. So I'm going to establish the lengths first, so kind of like the skeletal structure in a sense, and then I'll have one leg kind of back a little bit. So this just makes it a little bit more of an interesting kind of stance, but the chest bowed out. We'll go ahead and hide one arm. We'll get some of that shoulder in there, but we're going to bring that arm from behind the torso. So this is a good one to pay attention to, because what happens is a lot of artists will just draw everything out to the side like our first example. So this is a good way to kind of fight that urge, so we can have this arm in plain view. But before we get too far, let's think about, where he's holding this axe. Is he holding it, off to the side like this? We kind of play around with some ideas. Is he holding it out this way, just off to the side? And it could be this big kind of, heavy axe. Let's do that. And we can also, play around with this and adjust it. I'm going to give him these little stumpy arms because I really want to show the mass of the musculature. He's a wider build, so I'm going to make sure to shorten these portions and give him big hands. So just like that, we've got an idea in place. Maybe the thumb is right here, fingers, and obviously you're going to fill this in, but I like to kind of draw it in a little bit and then fill it in. I don't know, something about it just helps me warm up to the idea a little bit. So like that. He's holding this big, this big war hammer. So I'm going to make it with like a really big post and just a huge kind of barbaric axe of some kind. I'll just start with a very primitive shape, and then I'll elaborate. So I just want to show you the importance of that. So again, no really preconceived notion other than what we talked about a moment ago for this type of character. Maybe a point here, maybe a bit of a spike at the bottom. That might be kind of neat. Maybe a small one at the top. I could elaborate on this spike and give it a bit more of a dimensional, decorative kind of area at the top. And I'm already thinking in my head like, maybe there's a jewel piece or whatever, but that's interior details, so I'm not going to worry about that. But again, the ideas are already starting to present themselves, and that's what's so fun about this. So we're going to bring this down. We're giving these big trapezius muscles coming down like that. Again, he's got that big bicep. On this side, we're going to see a little bit of that tricep. And keep in mind, if this doesn't make sense to you when you look at the shapes of the anatomy, basically, it just means you need to study anatomy more and even, break down some, when you see a cool pose, break it down into a silhouette so that you can start to notice these little details that I'm talking about. So these big, thick legs here. Again, just kind of getting the base shape in there. Fill it in. So there's that foot right there. Fill that in. Got the knee here. I want that stance like one leg's kind of just back a little bit, and actually you kind of find the the kneecap, and then the foot's going to line up with that. So as far as positioning. Now the other thing is try to, really make sure that foot right here is lower. So I think they're a little too even, but what it does kind of show is that we're just, more eye level with the character. So based upon, where the feet land, it's going to really dictate to the viewer where they're at in respect to the character. So just like that, we've got a base shape to kind of work from. And from here, we just want to trick them out. We want to give them some detail and some character. Maybe we shrink the head and make the body look bigger, things like that. But what we can do is start to think about what kind of character is this? Do they have like some furry kind of, boots or whatever? That's always kind of fun. You can paint that in later. So we'll throw in some fur just to the edges, to the silhouette. And then maybe he's got this one big asymmetrical design off to the shoulder piece. I don't like that one. Let's try it again. Try to be creative. And the thing is here is you really do want to try to experiment because it's so quick to change the shape. It's just a really great way to develop these concepts so fast. And again, if the silhouette reads is being pretty interesting, then chances are the rest of it's going to work so much better. That's been my experience with it anyways. So a lot of fun. And what you can do too is take these and cut into these shapes. So after you get so much of this on here, you'll see that I'll start to erase back, and I'm just jumping to my translucent brush when I do that. It's the same exact brush, but I'll cut into these shapes and try to make even more fun details or whatever. So I'm just constantly kind of almost sculpting is the way I look at it whenever I do this. It feels a lot more like sculpting than drawing. And you can leave like little negative space details, but I don't know, I think it's almost more fun to fill it in and then just kind of remember the ideas that you got. I'm almost thinking these two spikes off the side would be kind of neat. Now, keep in mind too, if you are working digitally, take advantage of everything there. You can just hit Command C, Command V, edit, transform, flip horizontal. So you'll see me take little shortcuts like that when I can. Even still manage to make them crooked, which is just awesome. Hit enter there, and then remember to hit Command E to merge down, or just go over to the layer, where is it? Merge with layer below, Command E. So just like that, we're starting to get pretty interesting silhouette of this barbarian. You can kind of start to see that this would be a pretty imposing character that could deal some damage. He's a big, brooding behemoth. He's got some powerful limbs. He's got this big warhammer that he's holding up with ease. So it just exudes power. It just shows that he would be somebody that's you wouldn't want to mess with. And that's what we want. Like whenever you're trying to develop these ideas for a client, you want to be able to convey this information in the silhouette, show them these rough sketches. You probably wouldn't just show them the silhouettes. I mean, some clients might want to see it, but generally you'll take it to the next level and at least do a value study or a quick sketch through this, and we'll be doing that next. But hopefully you can see that it just starts to give you more ideas. I'm kind of wanting to continue that sash or whatever to the one side. And even if you only get it on one side, it still holds and retains the information. There's a lot of times I'll come back to a silhouette sketch like this and I'll have no problem perceiving the ideas and remembering the ideas. And you think that would be pretty hard because it's just this blocked in silhouette. Like it'd be easily forgettable or something. And it's quite the opposite. It retains a lot of that. And oftentimes you might come back and even have some new inventive ideas when doing this. So just like this, I like to fill it in. So let me just fill it in. And again, if I can think of any other details, I'll add those. He could be holding something in this hand. Not sure what, maybe some kind of chain link or something. So you could quickly get in there and do some chain links. Maybe that's attached to another, like a weapon of some kind of enchanted something or other. It's like, I'm not working from a script here, so it's like it could be anything, but let's just say it's kind of this spiked ball, since he's already got these spikes going on. Kind of looks like an apple. Let me round that out a bit more. So he's got these spikes here, something like this. I don't know if that's too much. Now keep in mind, a lot of times I will veto certain ideas. You know, it's like, for now it's all cool and I'll throw it in there and maybe I keep it, maybe I don't. But it's better to explore the ideas at this stage than not. You know, just be okay with it. You could have like a little bit of detail off the arm piece here. So whatever, just again, play around with these concepts. Even these minute details in the silhouette can do a lot later. So we're just kind of breaking up the shape and not allowing it to look too plain. You know, another dynamic is hair. Maybe there's, you know, some hair kind of blowing off to the side. So you see it just like that. We're able to, you know, get a concept down that's got some pretty rich details, you know, some segue information. I feel like the handle here could be a bit more interesting, so we'll widen out the bottom here. Again, some little studs or shapes off to the side. Maybe this is wider to the part where it connects to the axe head. And there you go. So there's our next silhouette. It's still a bit rough. I could probably spend some time cleaning that up. Now the other thing that I want to make sure to mention real quick before we move on to the next example is that the other thing that's really powerful about this is being able to quickly edit what's here. So you've heard me talk about, you know, using a translucent brush and cutting into it, which is great. You could even get some little blades of grass here, just to kind of give them some positioning to the ground there. But say you wanted to shrink that arm, or like I mentioned about the head, you know, you got to remember that every time you adjust the head size, it makes the body look bigger. So we could take that and play around with that concept, give him a little tiny head, and again, I'll probably give it a little bit of a raise there. And again, it's going to make the body comparatively look larger. So that's another, you know, fun little technique to do. So moving an arm, you know, you could grab probably this arm with the whole axe and everything, and you could play around with it. You could cut it, paste it back into place, and you could rotate it and see if you get something better. So kind of the neat thing about working with silhouettes is it's so fast to do that. And sometimes it will help you spark a better idea, and then you can jump back and forth and see, you know, which one appeals to you more. I almost like that one a bit better. Remember to check them from a distance and also flip them. So just like that. Nope, not just that part though. Let's put that back. Command E to merge and transform, flip horizontal. And generally what this will do is help you spot, you know, the weirdness in the pose, like that arch of the back looks a bit strange there, but it's still doable. I'm still going to run with it. So I'll go ahead and put that back. So there we go. So there's our next example. Let's head over to the following lesson and create another example and keep exploring the power of silhouettes.